Hi, everybody. It's Why We Love Horror 3.0, episode 53. I'm John Maher, and that's Abby Brooks, and that's Aaron Brooks. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
Excellent. Great. Maybe the best I've been doing all year.
If how we're doing is dependent on the movie we've seen, we're doing spectacular this week. I'm going to just throw the trailer on because we got to talk about the substance.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
Pretty girls should always smile.
That is Coralie Farjah's The Substance. And we got the star earrings coming back. I was very excited. When I saw that, I was very, very, very excited. Right up top, I was in the movie theater by myself, and then people joined me. There were two like middle-aged women came and sat really close to the screen, and then another person came in, and the old ladies walked out. I was never happier. Just the looks on their faces when they walked out of this movie. Like I that was the hardest I've laughed in a movie in a long time. What are your guys' initial thoughts?
Well, I know we're both very happy with this movie. I think it was probably everything that we were hoping it would be, and just based on what we had been hearing and the reviews that were coming out of whatever film festival it came from. I think we both very much so liked it.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about it. And then the hype, obviously, from Cannes. And then when it first came out, I noticed a little bit for sure. And I was excited. But yeah, this one is like another level above. I sent you a Letterboxd review right before going into the movie, which was basically like, it said David Cronenberg would be proud. And I always get nervous when his name's brought up when it's not his movies, because usually it's not quite lives up to that ode. But I would say this is as close to an ode to David Cronenberg as there's been, including Brandon, and definitely beyond Caitlin Cronenberg. So I think Caitlin should give her last name to Coralie. Just in my opinion.
Coralie Cronenberg.
Very
yeah, especially like not that I was nervous, because like when the reviews are coming out like that for a movie like this, like I usually tend to believe it. It's when it's a more mainstream movie, like Speak No Evil, you get like kind of like what the fuck. But given her last movie, given her Revenge, and her Revenge was just pretty straightforward. There was a ton of blood in that movie, and there was a ton of blood in this movie. But like I didn't think, given Revenge, that this was being touted as a Cronenberg level body horror movie. I was like, wow, can she do it? Mm-hmm. And she did it. Mm-hmm. Yay. Another thing about, I guess this is like kind of like her trademark at this point, just like really going out there and really experimenting with just loud sounds, like loud, disturbing sounds, which I'm into as well. What do you guys think of the sound design?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time getting to see one of her movies in theaters, with Revenge obviously coming out as a Shudder release. So I noticed the sound a lot in this movie. I mean, it was just like a sensory overload in general. The visuals were to another level as well. And I mean, I didn't know what this movie was about. I didn't watch the trailers, or if I did, I didn't pay attention to the trailers enough to really know. So like even looking at the poster now, I noticed her back. I thought that was like a tattoo. I thought it was going to be about like a cult in The Substance. I didn't know it was going to be what it was at all. So, and just getting this off the top, amongst the sound design, Demi Moore is my favorite part of this entire movie. So yeah. I think she should legit be nominated. And I think she has a chance, but maybe I'm crazy.
She should. Like, wait, pause for a second. We didn't do a synopsis, but I'll do that. Demi Moore plays an aging. She was an actress, then she became a fitness guru, Elizabeth Sparkle, but she turns 50. She's not 50, but I'll get to that in a second. She turns 50. And then there's like, we don't deal with old bitches no more. Get us a young woman. And she discovers there is a experimental drug / body system where you could split yourself into yourself and a younger version of yourself, and hijinks ensue. I'm going to come out here. You can make John's borderline pervy stuff counter, put that in the corner. Demi Moore is 61 years old. She looks fucking phenomenal. Like, I'm going to say that, good for her. And back to you guys.
Well, yeah. And I think like we, on our talk driving home after seeing this movie, that was one of the things that I had mentioned, is it's like maybe a little ironic, or maybe it is also part of the point, because the whole message point of this movie is talking about, it's a lot of like body image stuff, a lot of like body dysmorphia, like, oh, the younger person. But like you said, Demi Moore is really, really good looking in this movie. And you see all of her, every single thing. And she looks great. And I don't know if that, is also just to kind of hammer home the point of like, just because you're older doesn't mean you can still look good. But again, in Hollywood, all of that is meaningless, which I guess is ultimately the bottom line point. But yeah, I definitely agree. Demi Moore looks great, and she definitely should be nominated, like Aaron said. This performance is probably one of the best I've seen all year. Like, she really put everything into it. Again, you see all of her, but also just you really see her acting really, really great in this movie.
Yeah, I'll throw spoilers. But I don't think it's a spoiler if people talk. There's a ton of nudity in this movie. It's to the point that it insists upon itself, but in a good way. And then I'll get to John's second ridiculous perv point right now. The effects in this movie are so off the wall good. Body horror aside, they made a full-on prosthetic, like, naked body for Margaret Qualley, and it looks like it's her body. Like, it's absolutely berserk. You can't tell. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, a good thing John is sitting down.
Seriously, I can't.
It is. And just one more point with like the way that this movie works with its themes overall, I think is really, really effective, because these themes are pretty obvious very early in the movie. You know where they're going with a lot of these themes. They're not breaking new ground with like how women are treated in Hollywood, how aging is looked at. This being a feminist movie as well isn't a surprise after Revenge. But it's 2 for 2 now for her, where I feel Coralie Farragut has like perfectly nailed the themes while being over the top with them, while not preaching the theme over the top, but being over the top with the delivery of the themes. It's a fine line that I feel like most directors don't do well. And I mean, this movie just, it really was, it's a movie I wish I could have seen again before even talking about it, because I mean, even not to quote my own review, but like, there's so much that went over my head with this movie. For one, being about, a population I'm not a part of, but still can understand, relate to, because good filmmakers do that, which she did here. But just, there's such an overload of like information and everything like that, and it's like a slow buildup of it too. It starts out surprisingly like slow when you look back at how crazy it gets before, and we'll get to the ending very soon. But we say all this about Demi Moore, we say how she looks good now. 20 years ago, when she was like 45, 40, people kind of wrote her off as too old, and she hasn't really worked in the last 20 years. And I don't know if that's her choice or not, and if it was her choice, then great choice by the director to use Demi Moore in this role and kind of use that meta information, like fact about her to the advantage of the movie to help hammer home the points the movie's making. I mean, it starts off with the Elizabeth Sparkle star, and it's such a great, just like time lapse, of it first happening, and then it's slowly like people just walking over it, spilling pizza on it, kind of cleaning it up. It's cracking. It's such a great, like, you just saw Babylon, John. Not to, but it's just like such a Babylon-esque like kind of commentary on Hollywood and how we walk over and move on. It's just like all this, and then for that to be where the movie ends. I love a movie that starts and ends in the same spot. Very different how it ends, but yeah,
it does end. Oh boy.
I was expecting to like this movie going into it, and it just like it did what my favorite movie of the year, or maybe my second favorite movie of the year, did, and I saw the TV glows. It knocked my expectations out of the park here, and I don't know really where to even go from here. Dennis Quaid also was.
I was going to talk about Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid. I mean, having just seen Reagan, he topped Reagan in this movie. If you thought Reagan was great, he's great in this. Go ahead, Aaron.
I did see the clip from Gorbachev take down that wall on Twitter, so that was amazing. But yeah, his name's Harvey, so I don't know who they could be homaging to there. Is there any bad Harveys in Hollywood?
Firestein is it? He's that guy. Why would you talk about me like that? No, but yeah, let's move on. I mean, yeah, then we get into the body horror stuff. And honestly, like this movie hits like one of my like most specific fears. There is a lot of intravenous play in this movie. I like squirmed in my seat a ton. Like I was like, don't do the close up, don't show the blood. And they just kept like tubes of blood. I was just like the entire time. So it was good for them getting me. Mm-hmm. Anything? I mean, let's talk about the body horror. So there's that, and then what else got you guys? I'm sure something had to get you guys.
Well, I should say about the vein stuff. So in the very beginning, when she first like goes to that little like closet or whatever where she gets all of the stuff, they put, and this is just a me thing, but they put a lot of trust in these people with setting up their own IVs. As somebody who works in like the medical field, I'm just watching her do all of this stuff. And like when she first sets up the IV and she's like feeding herself with that food, you see all of these like air bubbles go into the vein. And I'm like sitting there like, no, you can't do that. She's going to die.
I think that's part of the point.
And it might be, honestly. I think it was probably
it's like,
part
these
of the
rich
point.
people don't know what
You're supposed to also put the bag above. She has it laying on the ground. I'm just seeing all these medical things, and I'm like, I don't like this. This is like going against everything I know.
How about your favorite practice? How about your favorite body horror part?
Yeah, so my actual favorite body horror. I mean, the whole ending, honestly, is really, really good. And it just starts out like, it just keeps escalating. Like I remember there just really small part. I think it was Margaret Qualley. I forget. She ends up in like an elevator or something, and she's like ripping her fingernails out, which is disgusting. I hate that. Her teeth start falling out at one point. Like all of those just like little things just really start to get you. And then it just escalates into this like disgusting monster creature thing.
The best thing I can say is if you have ever been to or have ever heard of anyone going to a Gwar concert, the ending of this movie is the goriest Gwar concert you've ever seen on footage ever. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, the whole ending, and that's the part I'm like most excited on a rewatch to put together more, because like I have a like half formed, almost looks like the monster in my head idea of what the ending means. I know isn't there yet at all, but at the same point, the ending was incredible. It totally was justified, and I feel like really like earned as well in the movie. It doesn't just kind of take a too sharp of a left turn for me. And yeah, the ending, it reminded me of a Gore concert, reminded me of Society. It's just walking around. It reminded me of Tusk. The practical work definitely did. Reminded me of The Fly, though. Like that is number one. What like as she's falling apart or falling out or whatever, however you want to define it. And then there's that whole angle of when they're calling the company, whether it's Sue or whether it's Elizabeth, they're like referring to the other person as an outside person, and the company's like, there's no you here. It's just one of you. There's no other here. It's you. So it's like the self-harm angle of the movie that I just feel like all of it works together. And it's just like, she turns into this like Elephant Man. Like there's so many. You could, if you were doing a movie ladder, like my brother's podcast, Movie Ladder Podcast, go check it out on Spotify. But if you were connecting this movie thematically or to a movie that was similar, there's like 30 different movies you could do it to.
Oh yeah.
Yet it's not copying those movies. It's really, I feel, unique. I can't think of another movie that has pulled this off to this effect where you can be like, that reminds me of The Fly, like the fingernail stuff, the ear falling off, and then you're brought into the sound where you're like losing like hearing with her, and you know the earring through the gross ear, and then the pussing of the blood, like, and it's just like it's funny, but there's no like fourth wall breaking stuff really, and just like, yeah, I don't know. As this movie went on, I like loved it more and more, and that was before that last 30 minutes happened. In the last 30 minutes, I genuinely do not think there's a crazier final 30 minutes I've ever seen in a movie. I've tried.
There's maybe some here and there, but like as far as like a movie that's being this talked about, I don't think so. Because honestly, like
for 30 minutes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, and I said this to you privately in the chat. Like, I was sitting there. When they go, first of all, it's like a nationally broadcast New Year's Eve special, but they have topless Vegas dancers, and I was like, and it was like the 80th topless woman I've seen in this movie. Perf comment number 3, and I'm like, how is this movie even rated R? How is it not even like whatever's above? And this is like NC-30. This movie,
right?
It's like they get away with.
And there's a little girl in the audience, which
little girl gets like covered in blood. Like,
yep.
People just screaming. There's also when Sue like finds the loophole because like she has to spinal tap Elizabeth's unconscious body to get
Existence.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say like it's the scene at the end of Requiem for a Dream when Jared Leto is shooting into the infected like vena cava in his arm. There's that, and there was like pus in it, and I was like, how is this rated R? How is it rated R? I had no idea.
And it all looks so good, like at the same point, like
yeah,
you know, like back comes the line of like your tits should be in the middle of your face, like, and her tits are in the middle of her face by the end of it. And it's just like you were like
she's wearing a dress, and the dress is ripped just enough, like her like 18 boobs are coming out. Then like a boob comes out of her eye socket. Like it's it's so freaking great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The boob just like falls out. It's like,
yeah. And it's there was one other thing. Oh yeah. The so basically like I said, Sue finds the loophole so she could just she keeps extracting spinal fluid out of Elizabeth's body, but every time she oversteps the bounds, it does permanent damage to Elizabeth's body. Like she gets like necrosis. Right. But when she finally switches over the last time, like the final form of living Elizabeth before they merge, like that, like she's shaped like a what was it a St. Andrew's tear, yes. And but she and like her boobs are just like these like socks that come off her body.
I want to stop now.
It's so great. I want to stop.
That was really good too. Even like, and again, it just keeps escalating from that after that. Like that was the first glance that you get. And then they have this whole big like showdown too, where Margaret Qualley she like basically bashes in Demi Moore's face as she looks like this weird, like Quasimodo beast kind of thing. Yeah. And it's just really like all of the effects are just really well done and just like really gross. And
everything I asked for, like I've asked for a front kick in a horror film for a long time, and Margaret Qualley front kicks Demi Moore, and it's like that Rick James in like the Chappelle Show kick. It's like Johnny Murphy. And she goes flat. I laughed huge for that, and then she Crimson Peaks her on the freaking mirror. Like it's so many great scenes in this movie.
Yeah, all the complaints last week have been alleviated. It's just like this was the movie I really needed, and I didn't realize it was the substance I needed, but it sure delivered. And yeah, Margaret Qualley's character just being named Sue. I like that she never has a last name.
Yeah,
like we don't need her to have a last name. She's got tits and twerks. Like
so much twerking in like almost thongs too in this movie.
It's so much almost buttholes on.
There's a lot of butts.
Like a lot of
zoomed
butts.
In.
Yeah, and you know this is
There's
all
something for everybody. Something for everybody in this movie. And I'm definitely going to get the Pump It Up with Sue shirts made. I'm going to be doing that. I'm wearing that shirt.
Absolutely. I want to pump it up with Elizabeth myself. And the way it ends with like after she like it just like sliding as her like little face piece onto the star, just like such a great ending. Yeah, exactly. I really did want to clap for this movie, which I despise doing because they can't tell you. But if I was going to clap for a movie, this would be the one.
All right, well, let's get to these ratings then, shall we? I know where we all stand, so I'm going to start with Abby.
Yeah, so I love this movie a lot. I liked the messaging of it because I do love a message movie where it doesn't bash you over the head and it's just not annoying about it. So I really like that. I love the body horror. I love the performances, particularly Demi Moore. I can't quite get it to 5. I'm not sure why. I think I need to watch it again because I think there are a few things that might have gone over my head. But I gave this movie a 4.5, and it'll be in my top 5 of the year, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. I'll go second just to break it up. An absolute blast. Like there isn't a moment in this movie where it drags. Like, and this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Like I just did a review yesterday of The Shade. That movie's 2 hours and 7 minutes long, and you feel it. It feels like 3 hours. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it feels like 77 minutes. It's incredibly done. Coralie Farjat is like, you should know her name now. You should be expecting her next film. This is a 5-star movie. Like, I'm good. Aaron?
Yeah. I mean, this one is competing with my favorites of the year. Like this and I Saw the TV Glow are 1 and 2. And if Nosferatu or something else comes up and tops or matches those, this is one of the best years in horror this millennium. Like on this side of the millennium, I would say. Like seriously, I think 2024 has been great. And this movie is 5 stars. 5 videotapes. I apologize. Well, not stars. But
it's okay. We're sorry, Mike.
5 videotapes with stars on them. This movie, I cannot wait to watch again. I'm probably going to find a way to get to the theater again, but with it being 2.5 hours, it flies by. Demi Moore, it makes me regret wasting the last 20 years of Demi Moore or her wasting the last 20 years. Whoever I have to be mad at, if it's Demi Moore or Hollywood.
She was raising Bruce Willis's daughters.
Okay, so I'm mad at Bruce. Well, I can't really be mad at Bruce. So either way, I'm glad she's back. I think this should, if she wants to, launch her into many more roles. Everybody in the cast was great. Yeah, as a David Cronenberg lover, I do feel like Coralie Farjat is as close as we've seen after that. Not saying her next movie has to be that or not. I can't wait to see what she does next. Because this is so different from Revenge while having a really cool through line of kind of, her thematic work, showing through while not hitting you over the head. Like she makes good movies first.
She's in a remake Animal House. That's what's happening next.
Oh, yes.
All right. That being said, we also did the Why We Love Horror Challenge. We're still doing it. That's the website. Last 5 letters there, lowercase r, lowercase l, capital W, lowercase d, capital I. You can go on there, check out what we've watched all year, what our friends are watching. This week, it was watch a survival horror film. Aaron, what'd you watch?
So this is a genre like I don't really love. I would say it's kind of like it gets a little bit repetitive. So I decided to go with one that seemed like a cool title and seemed like it'd be fun. Dog Soldiers. I went with Neil Marshall's directorial debut. I went on to do Game of Thrones and other Descent, other things. So this movie, it's like I think actually it helps by having a lower budget because it has to get much more creative for a lot of the movie with how it shows its monsters, which I think makes them a little bit scarier. Everybody's very English, I believe.
They're very English and Scottish, yeah.
And like maybe some Scottish in there with Liam Cunningham showing up, Sir Davos. Yeah, it was good enough, but it's just like it was a lot of scenes of like wolfmen busting through, windows and machine guns shooting a lot, and then like rebuilding. You played zombies on Call of Duty.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right. just shoring up all these huge blind spots in my horror watching catalog. I watched 47 Meters Down, and I also watched 47 Meters Down on Cage just so I could wrap it up.
Complete story.
Yeah. But for the challenge, I watched 47 Meters Down, which is kind of like a pre This Is Us Mandy Moore, and you get every ounce of pre This Is Us Mandy Moore in this movie.
Great.
And since pre This Is Us Mandy Moore is the best actress movie, though Matthew Modine does show up, and all the stars I gave that movie are for Matthew Modine. Nobody else in that movie. But
good.
There's sharks. They're in a cage, and there's sharks. That's the whole fucking movie. Abby, what'd you watch?
So I watched the original from the 1970s Straw Dogs.
Oh, shit.
It's not, after watching it, I don't know. I mean, I guess I kind of see why it was on a survival horror list. It's not like the first thing you think of. It's like by the end, it's a home invasion movie where they are trying to survive. So I guess it is a survival horror. But I did really enjoy it. I think there are lots of interesting conversations that could come out of this movie, talking about the different characters, their motivations, and who's good, who's bad, that type of thing. It's a very complicated movie, and I like those kinds of movies. So I enjoyed that.
It's also brutal.
Yes.
And it's on YouTube for free, which is weird.
Go see it. That'll do it for this week. If you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, share. Go to the Facebook group Why We Love Horror. Go to the TikTok WWL Horror. And hey, listen, vote for me here. Daily, often. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. I don't know if I'll win, but I have a shot if you help me. Thank you. And go over to Aaron's channel, Aaron the Dog MMA. He loves talking about the MMA. And Abby doesn't have a channel, but you can see her here and on Why We Love Horror. Yeah. But anyway, schedule is always the same. Mondays versus Tuesday horror headlines. Wednesday we're doing special editions. Thursday we're doing this. Next week we're doing Bagman here, a limited release, but we're going to talk about it because we try to do as much as we can. And Friday is always Why We Love Horror Trivia. Tune in tomorrow. Singles championship is on the line. Dylan Van Dyne defending that title against Rose Lindsay and all the actresses she loves a ton. That being said, this has been Why We Love Horror. Appreciate you stopping by.